All truth passes through three stages. First, it is ridiculed. Second, it is violently opposed. Third, it is accepted as being self-evident. So too it is with the state of Marvel. When fans with the fingers on the pulse in the blog and YouTubeosphere first saw the signs of what has since been labeled the MCU, they, including us, were ridiculed by the entertainment media complex. Then, as each new Phase 4 movie kept on flopping, the notion that something was wrong with the biggest entertainment brand on the planet was violently opposed. Now, it is so self-evident that Marvel has gone off the rails that even South Park points it out, knowing full well that everyone agrees. While it is far from the only problem Marvel has, a big one is the writers, more specifically the Rick and Morty writers. What they have delivered is so consistently below par that even Grace Randolph has repeatedly called on Marvel to fire them, and she'll get no pushback from me there. But rather than listen or read the numbers, Marvel just decided to double down by giving their most notable Rick and Morty writer, Michael Waldron, an overall deal. In this editorial, I will begin by going through the Rick and Morty writers known to work for Marvel, before taking on Michael Waldron's new overall deal, and finally, what this implies for the MCU going forward. For those who may not have seen it, Rick and Morty is an animated satire that rips off Back to the Future and sends not Marty McFly and not Doc Brown on adventures in the multiverse. Kevin Feige is reportedly a big fan of the series, and so for the multiverse saga of the MCU, he must seemingly have decided that these young, cheap, and all-in-all inexperienced writers of an animated spoof that has declined significantly over the years no less were the way to go. There may be more of them doing uncredited work, but we know of three. One is Jessica Gao, showrunner on She-Hulk on Disney+. You know, the one who made the fans the villain of that series, and who even publicly stated how much glee and joy she took in trolling the audience, all while the series tanked in ratings. Then there is Jeff Loveness, the writer of Ant-Man and the Wasp: Quantumania, which is currently flopping in theaters worldwide and on track to yield Disney a loss in the vicinity of $100 million. With reference to our earlier post-mortem of that movie, he's the one who thought seeing Kang the Conqueror lose time and again would make the audience root for him, and he's been asking for sympathy because his movie bombed in the Hollywood trades ever since. Next, he is scheduled to write The Avengers, the Kang Dynasty. And then there is Michael Waldron. Michael Waldron was actually the first Rick and Morty writer to become prolific within Marvel. He was the head writer and showrunner on Loki, the Disney Plus series that first set up Kang and the multiverse. What you're about to see is how he described making Kang's enforcers, the Time Variance Authority, seem like a legit threat after the Infinity Saga.
It was really cool to take the world of the MCU. There's 10 years of history that have come before this and everything. There's so much weight and everything on stuff like the Infinity Stones and everything. And what I thought and what our writing team really got excited about was, all right, how can we say that stuff is basically just bullshit compared to what the TVA does?
All right, how can we say that stuff is basically just bullshit compared to what the TVA does?
In other words, his great idea for building up what comes next was discarding as bullshit the work of much more experienced writers and filmmakers who had produced something that audiences worldwide responded to more strongly than any previous entertainment brand in history. Also, he went on to explain that Loki's arc over the course of that season was to, and I'm paraphrasing here, go from being told by others that he's mean and privileged, to internalizing it and accepting that he is mean and privileged, so that he can check his privilege and do better. Next up, Waldron also wrote Doctor Strange and the Multiverse of Madness, which turned out to be a sequel to WandaVision rather than to the first Doctor Strange, and it introduced America Chavez. It also had Doctor Strange in a supporting role. Out of all of the non-Spider-Man Phase 4 movies, this one did the best, but an argument can be made that it sailed on the success of an expectation from Spider-Man No Way Home. But in turn, it did not leave any goodwill left over for the next movie to be released, Thor: Love and Thunder. Even so, Waldron remained scheduled to write the Avengers movie that follows the Kang dynasty, namely Secret War. Now, after the public response to Marvel's current direction, or rather the rejection of it as measured by box office numbers and lackluster streaming numbers, you'd think that the powers that be at Disney would consider rescheduling their entire upcoming slate, and most of all, take another look at the 2 upcoming Avengers movies, and perhaps consider a bit closer if Waldron and Loveness really are the best fits for them. You'd think they would do that, but instead, they just gave Waldron an overall deal. The source behind this story is actually Deadline Hollywood, who revealed that Waldron first got an overall deal with Disney and Marvel in the aftermath of Loki, but now, so this is the breaking news, that deal has been renewed, and alongside his production partner Adam Fazzolo, he's launching a new production company. I'll get back to that in a minute, but the first takeaway here is that his overall deal just got renewed. What that suggests is that the powers that be at Marvel and Disney are not having second thoughts about their current direction despite the audience rejection. Instead, they're doubling down, affirming that Waldron will indeed write Avengers Secret War, which will end the multiverse saga. And if the comics are anything to go by, mess up the Marvel Universe even more by the time it's done. Since they are presumably not changing Secret War, chances are they won't change anything else about their upcoming slate either, suggesting that Marvel is in for a rough ride. Then there is the matter of Waldron's new production company, Anomaly Pictures, about which he and his partner said, their new banner believes that popcorn entertainment can also be prestige entertainment, and at the heart of every project lies the question, what if this was good? I take that to mean that their default position is that every movie is bad. But what if this one, coming from Anomaly Pictures, is good? Maybe the audience will go see it. That's some hot take right there. I wish them well, of course. We all need good movies. But after seeing what he did on Loki and Multiverse of Madness, I remain unconvinced that Anomaly Pictures will be able to live up to that implied promise. What about you? How excited are you for Waldron's future projects, including Avengers Secret War and everything leading up to it? Let me know in the comments.